And happy new year. My name is Ashley Aireonna. Welcome back to my channel. 49ers had practice today on Wednesday, January 1st, 2025. Oh my goodness. But obviously coming off a short week with that Monday night game. So the injury report is going to look a little bit more expansive than normal. Although, the 49ers are just very injured, but also a lot of these guys, Kyle was saying that Thursday, tomorrow's practice, might be more indicative of who's to actually be able to play on Sunday. Some of these guys just need a little bit extra rest. One guy who will not be playing, though, is Brock Purdy with that elbow injury. Like I said yesterday, if you tuned in, Brock Purdy has an elbow contusion and nerve inflammation. Now, I don't want to overlook this huge, in my opinion, injury. This is his throwing arm. This is the shoulder that was hurt and caused him to miss a game earlier this year. This is the elbow that he has surgically repaired, and nerve inflammation and nerve damage can be very serious and can require surgery. Now, apparently, this is not the case for Brock Purdy. It's supposed to be something that should be fine in a couple weeks. But we've also heard Kyle and the organization downplay injuries all year. So I'm really hopeful that before the game and after the game, before the offseason starts and they clear out their lockers, that media is able to talk to Brock Purdy and really get a feel for how his arm is going. Are the 49ers going to end up signing him to a giant contract in a couple of weeks or a week or two? Or is it going to be a whole thing all offseason and Brock Purdy's throwing arm is going to continue to hinder him? That's going to be a storyline to follow. But for the starting quarterback against the Arizona Cardinals, that's going to be Josh Dobbs. Thank God. I have no idea why Kyle Shanahan started Brandon Allen earlier this year in a must-win game. I mean, if the 49ers win that game, they had a stronger chance of making it to the playoffs. Instead, they played Brandon Allen. He could not move. He couldn't throw the ball very far down the field. He turned the ball over. Josh Dobbs came in, last week. Arguably, we will say the, Lions defense didn't look good, but scored a touchdown right away. We've seen him with other teams be able to throw the ball down the field, be able to scramble. And Kyle Shanahan's reasoning for starting Josh Dobbs was that just with this offensive line, having a lot of backups in, he wants a quarterback that can scramble if necessary. And Brandon Allen does not have that ability. Brock Purdy does, but Brock Purdy isn't healthy. So they're starting Josh Dobbs, who can also scramble if needed. So he will be the quarterback on Sunday against the Cardinals, but Brock Purdy did not practice. Nick Bosa also will not practice. Deebo Samuel with a rib/wrist injury suffered last on Monday against the Lions. He did not practice. George Kittle, ankle/hamstring, did not practice today. As you can tell, this is a long list. Leonard Floyd did not practice today. Deommodore Lenoir, shoulder, did not practice today. Colton McKivitz with that knee injury still did not practice today. Spencer Burford, calf, still did not practice today. Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, calf, did not practice today. Robert Beal did not practice today with an ankle, and then Isaac Yiadom, pelvis, did not practice today. Likely to not play on Sunday, we already know, is obviously Brock Purdy, Spencer Burford, and Beal. But a lot of these guys, I mean, Colton McKivitz couldn't play last week. Also with Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel, Kyle Shanahan hinted that it doesn't make sense to push those guys to play through injury in a game that doesn't matter. So they might get some younger guys, some more Ricky Pearsall, getting those targets that Deebo Samuel should get. I mean, it worked out well yesterday. Too bad they didn't try that earlier this year. Ricky actually had, maybe a breakout game last on Monday. So anyway, so those are the guys that did not practice. And then for limited, Ricky Pearsall with an illness/chest injury. He was limited, so he was there today, but not a full go. And then Jair Brown with an ankle was limited today. We'll have more information tomorrow. And then, leading to the game, who flies with the team, who's able to go. But that is it for the injury report. And then I also thought it was interesting. Kyle was asked, let me actually read the exact question, because I felt like the questions were fair. Kyle was asked, will you assess yourself this offseason? How do you feel you compared to other seasons that you've had in the NFL? You've been around so long, wondering if that's a process that you would do or if it would be tough. He got interrupted, basically asking to, do you self scout? Now you have to remember this is a very fair question. Kyle Shanahan gets asked to assess Brock Purdy on a weekly basis. Kyle Shanahan is asked about Nick Sorensen to assess his defensive coordinator, Bobby Turner, the running backs coach. He is asked constantly about assistant coaches and about players to assess their performance from a week to week basis, but also just how do you feel like they did this year? How have you felt like they did this, since the bye week? Those are very typical, normal, completely fair questions. And I think it's fair to say, hey, Kyle, like you're constantly assessing these players or your assistant coaches. Do you do that for yourself? If you do, how do you think you did and what can you do to improve going to the next season, since clearly this was a down year? Unfortunately, instead of taking it seriously and talking about self-reflection and maybe things he wants to work on, or maybe even saying, like, I actually think I did a really good job and injuries just really derailed us. Like, he could have said that. Instead of doing that, he was very smug. He laughed off the question. He said, no, I'm not going to do that this year, obviously being sarcastic, and then said, yeah, I do that every day, every year, every second. And then when asked, okay, like, how do you feel you did? Like, it, because once again, the question isn't just, are you going to assess yourself? But it was, what did you, when you reflect, what do you think you excelled in? What do you think you need work on? And he said, I don't understand how to ask that question or how to answer that question. I work as hard as I can at my individual performance. So I'm frustrated with our season. I'm responsible for everything. So I think you can figure it out, which to me is such a BS answer. Like Kyle just doesn't want to say, like, yeah, I am disappointed in my performance this year. As a coach, I'm responsible for the team. I make a ton of, the decision with the personnel, and I've been frustrated with our lack of offensive performance. I've been frustrated with our penalties, with the attitude of the team. I don't know why Kyle feels the need to be so snarky. I think when they were winning, fans thought that that was kind of endearing. The fact that he had this like kind of screw you, I'm above the media, I don't have to answer these questions type of attitude. But when you're a losing coach and you're on a losing team and you're, supposed to be this offensive genius and your offenses look stale and, all of a sudden there's these players that look good that you sat all year long and you didn't, give them an opportunity when the games were in the balance and you had to win. And I don't know. I think the questions were very fair, and I was pretty disappointed with Kyle's answer. And it didn't give me confidence. Like, either A, he is self reflecting, but he's too egotistical to tell the media, or B, he actually, buys into his own smoke and he thinks he's above the self reflection, or when he self reflects, he takes none of the blame. He puts it on John Lynch, he puts it on player execution, whatever it is. But it doesn't, if you can't constantly evolve, then, how are you going to expect to be better next year? And how, as a fan, and am I supposed to be confident that you're going to reflect and make the changes necessary? Like, the offensive line, you clearly need to target the offensive line. Your scheme, is getting stale. Defenses know what's coming, but when you have play action, when you have misdirection, that's when your offense can be exciting. He calling 16 straight passes and then Brock Purdy turning over the ball. I would look at that game and say, I can't, like, when we're winning, there's no reason that I should just throw the ball every single down and allow our quarterback to turn the ball over and get the other team ahead. Like, they should have just ran the clock out. They were in the fourth quarter, they were up. And you have to be able to reflect on your decisions, why you made them. Were they correct? Were they wrong? Was the process right and it just wasn't executed well? Or was the process wrong? And I hope that those things at least are things Kyle is doing in private and maybe just doesn't feel like he needs to share. But I didn't appreciate the attitude that he had. And I know a lot of people will say it was because he doesn't like the reporter that asked or whatever. I felt so disappointed with the 49ers media today. They were asking the most cookie cutter questions. Nothing special with Bobby Turner happened today, and someone just asked him to tell a story of a time that he had fun with Bobby Turner. It was like, what does that have to do with the Cardinals game? Nothing. And okay, say people are like, who cares about the Cardinals? It doesn't matter. This is, it's a brand new year. It's a perfect opportunity to say, like, how do you reflect on the 2024 season and what changes are you going to make in 2025 that is going to inspire fans and fans to keep buying season tickets and players to want to come to this team, and that you can make a Super Bowl run again. I felt like the question was fair, and I was disappointed with Kyle's answer. I think when you're the coach of a team that's going to the Super Bowl, maybe you can get away with having a little more of an attitude. But when you're on a losing team, I think that you should understand that the media works for the fans and you work for the fans as the coach. So you answer to the media, and the media is asking questions for the fans. So in turn, you as a coach, to me, work for the fans. If the fans aren't buying season tickets, Jed York doesn't have money, and Jed York is going to move on from you, Kyle. And I don't think, obviously he's not going to move on from him now, but long term, I think Kyle should, would do well with some media training. Now, the one positive that I will say with Kyle is he does try to get his players there's certain like goals that they can hit. They give them contract incentives. There's also just like personal accolades that certain guys want to get. Jauan Jennings is 77 yards away from having 1,000-yard season. That would be his first 1,000-yard season ever. He's obviously had a breakout year, I would say, even last year in the playoffs. And he himself would say, when asked, like, did you do something different this year? He was like, no, the only difference is I was targeted more. That's another critique of mine from Kyle, is letting good guys sit on the bench and then all of a sudden they play meaningless games and you're like, wait, that guy was good all along. Why were you not utilizing him? But anyways, Kyle was asked, like, will he try to get Jauan Jennings to 1,000 yards and make an effort to give him those targets so he can get that accolade? And he did say yes. He said normally if you're, trying to get into the playoffs or something, you think less about the personal stats because your number one goal is just like whatever play is necessary to win the game because you want to go to the playoffs. But since they're already out of it, they will try to help guys reach their incentives and reach their personal accolade goals, to stuff like that. So Jauan Jennings, he's a guy to look out for. Hopefully the Cardinals didn't hear that, and now they're gonna, put a bunch of guys around Jauan Jennings and try to shut him down. I know last year, Puka Nacua. I had Cooper Kupp on my mind, but Puka Nacua was a little while away from getting his receiving record for the year. And I know that the 49ers kept trying to, they kept targeting him towards the end of the game. And basically, we're laughing because Sean McVay was taking out his starters because the game was over and it didn't matter going into the playoffs. And Kyle apparently looked at Puka and said, they're going to have to play you all game because we're not letting you get that record. So hopefully the Cardinals didn't hear about Jauan Jennings and they let him, not let him, but he's able to get that goal. But anyways, mostly just wanted to talk about the injury report. The 49ers have practice tomorrow. I'm going to be going live, I think, with Sports Illustrated's Connor Whalen. If not, I'll go live on my own, talk a little bit more about the new year new goals for the 49ers. But I just wanted to give you guys a short little video. I hope everyone had a safe and happy new year. And please like and subscribe. I've been so grateful to have YouTube this year, and even, starting it last year. It's helped a ton with my confidence and my speaking. And I feel really grateful for my friends and for my family. And I want to, hold those things going on in the new year. I want to keep promises to myself. One small promise that I had a, year and a half ago was when I started this hobby, I wanted to keep with it and actually prove to myself that I could do it, even if I wasn't the best at it. And I would encourage anyone, if they have a hobby or something that they would like to get into, to try to dedicate some time to it, because it makes you feel good to go after things that maybe feel scary to you. If you're into fitness, I know a lot of people have like health and fitness goals, something that you're going to get burnt out from, that you're not going to be able to follow. I've gotten more into workout classes recently. I've always been, I did sports all the way through growing up. I've always been very into the gym, bodybuilding. My dad's a bodybuilder. I ran track. I've, always been very into that. But something in college that I did was a lot of like spin workout classes because I really like the community element of it. And then the last like 2 or 3 years, I was more doing like solo gym focused stuff. And I just noticed that it wasn't bringing me as much joy. I wasn't inspired to do it as much. And not even just from like a health related thing, but more of like a mental health. Like I wasn't feeling that release that I used to get from the gym just because I got bored of it. I've been doing it for a long time. I got back into doing some more workout classes. And I don't even know if the actual workout itself is as challenging because everything's a little bit more like high rep cardio based versus actually lifting super strong. You're not doing as many reps. But I will say, I've been doing it for the last like month or so, and it's brought me a ton of joy. It's challenged me in a new way. I don't mean I might not do it forever, but I think it's going to be something I'm going to stick with hopefully, this year. And it's made me really happy to be in community again and to make friends. And I don't have to think about it. So whatever little thing you're getting into, whether it's running, weightlifting, trying to eat healthier, all those things, don't go too extreme. Make it something that you can implement into a lifestyle. That's something I would always say. Some people do the 75 hard and stuff like that. I've done all that. So if you are inspired by, putting yourself through a super challenging time training for a marathon, something like that, I've done that and I totally relate to that. If that motivates you, definitely do it. But if that seems too intimidating and you don't want to do something like that, but you do want to improve your health, just make small changes. You don't have to cut out the chocolate. You can just add in a vegetable or, go for a walk after you eat a little bit, of sugar because that helps balance your glucose and your blood sugar. There's ways that you can still really live life and enjoy life and go out to dinner with your friends and with your family and indulge, but also treat yourself and your body kindly and make sure to take care of yourself. I think when you prioritize yourself, whether that's through sleep, through nutrition, through working out, through, a hobby or work, if you set a goal for yourself and you stick with it, I think that's really how you start to trust yourself and build confidence in yourself. As someone who kind of went through a little mini depression after, not even a little mini, but I don't want to get too much into it, but I got a little down after college. It was just a big change for me. And I think I'm starting to be on the other side of it. And I've really realized like that when I want to set reasonable, not like goals, but I want to have reasonable expectations for myself that I know that I can commit to, because then that proves to myself like, oh, you are reliable. If you tell yourself you're going to do something, you can do it. And if I don't do it one day, I'm going to get back to it, the next day. I'm not going to say, oh, screw it. Now I'm never going to do it again. So if you guys, overindulge this holiday season and you want to, get back into a little bit of a healthier routine, go ahead and do that. But also if you still want to indulge, you can do that and just find ways where you're also going for a walk a couple times a week with family member or with a friend, or even just calling a family member or friend. Getting out in nature when you can. I know, at least for me, the winters can be really tough. I'm a big summer person, big sunshine person. So take your vitamin D. That is linked to mental health. If you're in, not a sunny environment in the Bay Area, make sure you're taking vitamin D either with breakfast or with lunch, with a meal earlier on in the day, and getting some sunlight when you can. Anyways, I didn't mean to get into a whole little thing there, but I know, 2025, New Year's, new resolution, stuff like that. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great year. I really, really appreciate you. And thank you. I'll be going live tomorrow with hopefully a better idea of who is actually going to play on Sunday, because 49ers players are going to have a little more rest. Hopefully, the one that was really sticking out to me was George Kittle. He's been such an outstanding, player this year. He's really had a resurgence. He's also just been such a leader and a pro and a team captain. So I hope he's healthy and able to play the last game of the year. Also, credit to Fred Warner. While I'm saying that, he's had a broken bone in his ankle and he hasn't missed a game yet this year. So what a pro. Two guys that I really want to tip my hat to. But anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Like and subscribe. I really appreciate you.